Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube audiobook series for The Forbidden Truth, written by Abby Matthias. I am Darius, and today I will be introducing Chapter 29. If you missed Chapter 28, I would highly suggest going back and watching it. And if you are all caught up, we will listen to this unique chapter of The Forbidden Truth, Chapter 29, The Chosen One.
Tell me, traitor, why should I spare your life when you have tried to lay your hands on the King of Darkness? I said, while sitting on my throne, judging another citizen's life for trying to assassinate me with a holy dagger. A fallen angel attempting to set hell free from my reign and take control of the realm. How do I know that? Because natural demons like myself can't hold such weapons. We incinerate into ash. Yet after finding such a weapon, we transfer its energy to make it demonic, so that the next person who holds it can do it justice by going on a murderous rampage. However, the pitiful demon was now begging for his life after trying to stab me in the back, quite literally. Too bad for him. I can sense when someone is in a room where I am, and knew exactly where he was hiding.
Your evilness! I was only doing what I was supposed to do. I was sent to destroy you by the great Almighty.
A twinge of pain came from the last word. However, I was able to shake it off quickly before he could speak again. Of course you were. But you forget which realm you live in now. You have no protection from up there, I said, pointing up. They say that you will be untouchable, but they only say that to rope you kind of suckers into this kind of mission. Immediately after that, I decided to show an example of what I meant. I stared right into his eyes to send 1,000 fires through him, making him almost burn alive without even laying a finger on him. Upon the gaze, he cried and pleaded for me to stop. And I did. At least for now. At this moment, he was now terrified and folding his hands as he knelt to the ground.
Please, Satan, have mercy! I'll do whatever you say from now on and make you my new ruler, but please spare me!
With that remark, I began to grin the most grimmest smile in my life. I loved when demons begged for forgiveness, giving their repentance and putting their life into my hands, unknowing to what kind of decision I was going to make. This moment alone fueled my power and filled me with pleasure. This is what I live for, these exact circumstances. Mercy. Mercy. There is no such thing as mercy down here. You step out of line, you pay the price. With that, I used my psychokinesis to lift the poor soul into the air, created a bed of long and sharp nails underneath him, and watched him squirm and scream in panic. I began to laugh at his episode, knowing he would die by me. However, before I could do so, something within me went haywire. My power faltered and weakened. It made my psychokinesis ability fail and send the unfortunate demon to his end way too early. Blood began to pool out from every puncture and run onto the royal rug. Though I would normally enjoy the sight, today I was furious as this death was taken away from me. Brutus! I screamed at the top of my lungs. And I called the assistant scrambled into the room and instantly began to speak.
Yes, sir. What is it?
Cancel the rest of my appointments for the rest of the day and night.
Sure thing. But may I ask why?
Because I said so. Now do as I say before I make you have the same fate as this sucker, I said, pointing at the dead body. And get someone to clean up this eyesore. The floor better be spotless by the time I get back.
Yes, Satan. Where are you going?
To Earth. I need to check on something. Now do as I told you and dismiss yourself. After that, he nodded his head and walked away, shutting the door behind him again. Left to my own reflections, I needed to check on my prized possession. There was something extremely amiss when it came to him. I've been trying to figure it out for years now, and haven't been able to find the answers. His deal began to go red. I know he is doing something to try and break it. I tried to get an answer out of his beloved protector child a few days ago, but she didn't say anything. Not to mention the fact she was playing hard to get. She was a headstrong woman who needed to be tamed. That's what made me like her so much. Since the first moment she defied me, I wanted her all to myself. Yet her protector demon always stood in my way. Regardless of that fact, between the two of them, they were growing stronger and planning something behind my back. Yet they couldn't keep it to themselves forever. Luckily for me, I can sense a power change within the universe. So knowing that, I teleported myself up to his location. I ended up at some random house in a city that I didn't care about. But to ensure that they didn't realize I was there, I turned myself into the sneakiest animal I could think of. A snake. Once I was transformed, I slithered my way around the house to see where I could spy on the pair. Doing this reminded me of the good old days, way back in the beginning when I tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit from that garden she was placed in. Such a shame. So naive and lovely. A being that was easily corrupted and made all of humankind fall into that lovely death trap called sin. I was extremely young at that point. I was chaperoned by my father when that happened, and I made him proud. Yet as of this point, the memory flashed in my head for an instant before I began to feel a strong pull of magic. Remembering what I was doing, I gazed at my surroundings and found a large cement porch with open shades and a glass door. A clear view to peer inside the house. However, before I could slither over to peer inside, my body was pulled and slammed into the door because of the strong magic flowing into me. I've never felt this kind of magic before, but it was delicious. It was like I could taste it upon my tongue, and I was savoring every bit of it. Yet the question was how I was feeling this. So pulling my body away from the door and looking through the glass, I took in the sight of a magnificent being. My eyes took in the sight that was equivalent to me, an entity that held a substantial amount of power, a being that I have longed to be for so long. Yet how was this even possible? I have searched high and low for a demon who is strong enough, and called the Chosen One to make my final goal turn into reality. And here I have found it. He has been in front of my eyes the entire time, and with that I grew infuriated. While the anger stirred within me, I kept watch on my target as they suddenly began to glow red and magenta. Another moment of weakness came about as the sudden power surge exited my body, and within a millisecond, I saw Darius stone within his true form. He had 2 sets of arms and dragon-like wings that were twice the size of his body. His muscles almost protruded out of his clothes while the black collar around his neck appeared to be tightened. He has been the demon I have been searching for. He is the key to my life accomplishment. From there, I knew I had to get him down to hell as soon as possible. But how? Yet as I was frozen in place watching the scene, the answer came to me as he began to rush towards his protector child. Abby Davis was in her luxurious demon spirit, her shoulders bare before me as her dress clung to her curves, beauty at its finest. Her human body, though, was laying on a leather couch, sleeping ever so peacefully. That was when I knew what to do. While the duo were occupied, I gazed at her body and placed a transporting spell on it. As soon as she touches her vessel, she will be teleported to the Nox Arena. A big space was needed for the future, and that was the perfect place. While I grew overjoyed with the thought of being within the same room as Abby again, I eventually caught sight of two more humans that were aiding in her distress. A woman with black hair and a boy that looked very familiar. His blue eyes and black hair were not something I forgot. I don't know how this could have happened, but Darius somehow found his family. He saw his wife and son in the flesh, and well, he was practically whole again, but not for long. I will make him fulfill my destiny, even if I have to bring his precious little family into it. He will be mine, whether he likes it or not. After a few minutes of them talking, they managed to pick Abby back up and guide her to her body. It was now showtime, and I was able to watch part 1 of my plan take effect. The protector child made her way to her human body and gently grabbed her arm to fuse back into it. However, upon the touch, my blue force began to swell and consume her hand. Up it traveled until her arm was consumed and spread along her body. Panic rose within the room while Darius tried to grab a hold of her, yet he couldn't stop what was happening. Knowing she would teleport soon, I vanished and made myself appear in the Nox Arena. When I got there, it was completely empty. No training or fighting occurred at the moment, and it was just the way I liked it. Yet my appearance was not up to point. My clothes were wrinkled and I wasn't dressed to impress. However, I couldn't do anything about it. For as that very thought crossed my mind, the beloved Abby Davis was standing only a few feet away from me. At first glance, she was scared out of her mind, looking frantically about the area, trying to recognize where she was. However, she could only imagine she was in my kingdom. Despite that, she eventually made eye contact with me and began to grow furious. Regardless of that, she instantly reacted to the sight of me and activated her wings to start flying away as fast as she could. A game of chase she wanted. Then she'll get it. Instantly, I levitated after her, racing through the sky. She couldn't get very far because I caught up to her. She made it to about as high as the open arena itself before I grabbed her foot and pulled her down to my level. Then grabbing her by her shoulders, I flipped us back to slam her into the ground. Once we made contact, I rushed my hands to pin her wrist down in order to immobilize her. Abby panted beneath me as she struggled to set herself free. However, that only began to turn me on. She was like a wild bull that needed to be conquered. Yet I needed her for another purpose before I would officially take her as my wife. I needed her protector demon. She needed to be held hostage. And I was willing to go the full mile while we waited. However, before anything could happen, I began to see a shift in her eye color to a vibrant blue. Then within a flash, a burst of electricity flowed into my body, making me fly back and convulse with pain and shock. At those results, she stood up again and began to cry out.
Darius, help me!
Once again, she tried to fly into the sky, yet I was once more able to shake away the pain and fly again to catch her, even faster this time. She didn't even make it halfway up when I wrapped my arms around her, pressing her into me, using an invisible shield to prevent further shocking. Yet once again, I was met with failure as she suddenly glowed magenta and phased through my grasp. She had intangibility. Another bold-faced lie Darius has told me. No matter. There was an easy way to cure that, and it was to strike her with a temporary volt of energy that would disable the power for the time being. And so I did just that. That power alone looked like a bolt of lightning like hers, except the ability didn't shock the victim. It was quite painless, to be honest. I was being a humble predator to my future bride. Yet now it was time to put the leash on her. Once that bolt struck her, she paused in the air to see what happened. However, that was her biggest mistake. I swiftly was able to catch her off guard and drag her back to the arena floor.
Darius!
She screamed again. Go ahead. Cry for your protector demon. I need to see him as well. Bring him to me. With that, I extended my long nails and placed them over her throat. You try pulling any more tricks, I'll slit that pretty little neck of yours. At that, she began to whimper within my arms as we waited for the chosen one to appear.
This has been Chapter 29, The Chosen One, from the book, The Forbidden Truth. Tune into the next video for Chapter 30. Thank you for listening.